Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Tonight, we are talking with Derek Shepard, the school board member-elect for a portion of the West Bank in Jefferson Parish. Quite a story that we're going to delve deeper into here. But first off, let me tell you, congratulations. About 2 weeks ago, you had a pretty overwhelming win.
Yes. I was just a bit blessed. 70% of the vote. I would have took one over, but it was just an honor that the people decided to not look at my past, but look at the future. So I'm just blessed.
Speaking of your past, we're going to get into it here. You're a familiar face, a familiar name in statewide and Jefferson Parish politics. But one more question about the school system. You're going to take the oath here in January. You represent a big portion of the West Bank. Patrick Taylor, Higgins High School are in your district. What's the first thing you want to get done when you sit on this board when it comes to the schools in your district?
I want to work with my colleagues to make sure that the schools are reflective. Jefferson Parish is the largest school district in the state. It's number 95 in the nation. It should look like that. We want to make sure that there are safe schools on the inside and the outside. My concern is student resource officers to make sure that every school campus is safe. We have a strategy in place just in case the worst ever happens. But also I want to make sure that the walls are fixed, that the building, there's no leaks. Things like that are near and dear to my heart.
We're going to get more into this topic, especially with the tragedy that happened in Uvalde, Texas earlier this year. Since you brought up safety, we do want to talk about that. But let's pivot here for a second and talk about you, just to bring people up to speed. A lot of people say, wow, that's Derek Shepard. You were a state representative, a state senator, a rising star in politics. Your past is well documented. You pleaded guilty to some criminal charges. You were sentenced to jail. You served time. You came out. You have reformed your life and everything that happened back in the past when it came to the criminal charges back in 2008. But the reason why you're here is because you fought the state of Louisiana and you went to the Supreme Court to give convicted felons a chance to run for elected office. It used to be 15 years you had to wait. It's now 5. If you could talk about that fight that landed you here.
I just never believed that I was done. I thought I had more to offer. I made a mistake, and I didn't blame anyone. It was my mistake. It wasn't the system. It wasn't the man. It was my stupidity. But I did believe I had something to offer. But there was this law that was on the books that said, no, go away for 15 years, don't come back, or something like that. And I was like, no, I still got the juice. I want to do it now. So we went to the Supreme Court. It was a long ride. We did it in district court. We even went to Baton Rouge to their appellate court, and then we came back. But we went to the Supreme Court, and we just laid the law and the facts on the line. And we said people like me deserve a second chance. And we won. And
it wasn't just you. Voters had to approve this. In 2018, voters agreed in Louisiana. It kind of flew under radar to reduce the time from 15 years down to 5 years that somebody who has a felony conviction could seek public office. Because let's point this out. Everything that happened with you when you resigned from the Senate and pled guilty happened in 2008. It's easy to do the math. 15 years is still not up yet. You wouldn't have been allowed to seek public office 2 weeks ago if not for this law change.
And I just have to thank a lot of legislators. First and foremost, Troy Carter. He was on the committee that helped make this law from 15 to 5. Wesley Bishop, Karen Carter Peterson, a lot of people. J.P. Morrell was a big champion of it. But we also had the governor on board. And the governor said, no, I think it's only fair as well. So when we did get it overturned by the Supreme Court, we had to go back to the legislature because they mandated that we go back. The legislature had to create a law. So we had a lot of parties involved on this and say, you know what, what's an appropriate amount of time? Because the voters are not stupid. They can make up their own mind. Let's just put it out there. So that's when we all came together. Republicans and Democrats said 5 years.
Is that enough time? Look, there are people watching this right now out there, Mr. Shepard, who say, hey, somebody who commits a felony crime while they're in public office, a crime possibly like bribery or money laundering, shouldn't get a second chance. That should be a game, set, match. What do you tell the naysayers out there watching this right now who say Derek Shepard and others don't deserve a second chance?
I answered that question several times when I knocked on the doors for this race. I had to look people in the eye and had to tell them, this is me, this is the mistake I made. But when I get a second chance, it's just not me. It's your brother. He gets a second chance. It's your uncle. Nowadays, it's your sister or your niece. They get a second chance. And I think the people were receptive because I was out front and transparent and put it on the line. Some people may not deserve that, but you cannot ask for a second chance without having the atonement first. And because I never made excuses or suggested that someone else was at fault and I took the blame myself, I think it opened people's minds to say, you know, people like me can do a good job. There's an old saying, which is true. Sometimes broken people make the best leaders, and that's what I try to offer myself to.
Yeah, look, and having covered your case in 2008, you didn't make excuses.
Yeah.
At federal court, you said, I did what I did, and that's where things stand. But this helped other people. I covered Oliver Thomas's win 1 year ago for District D, and I told him, look, this is one of the greatest political comeback stories in the history of politics. He pled guilty in 2007. He then won a council seat. He resigned from the council in 2007, then won a council seat in 2021, also after serving jail time and then coming out and reforming his life. And he joked, he goes, I think you're going to bring me to tears by bringing this up, but the law change that you fought for, it paved the way for people like Mr. Thomas as well. Is that what's important here too?
It's important for people like Mr. Thomas, like myself, but it's also important to some young people that I'm trying to affect, to let them know that just because you've made a mistake, you can get a second chance. This is the greatest country ever created by man. And we are about second chances, but you have to do your work. You have to earn it. Second chances are not given, it's earned. And Mr. Thomas, who's a hero of mine, he earned his second chance, and he's doing a great work now. And I just hope to be an example to those so I can let them know you fall down, but you get back up and you try. And it's so long that you do the right thing, people are willing to be accepted. So it is a tearful moment. And just to be honest with you, I wouldn't be here but for my dad. He's not with us anymore. He died from COVID. But before he died, I promised him that I would get his good name back, because when you were in the courtroom and you saw the last words I said, Daddy, I ruined your good name, but I promise you I'm gonna get it back.
Let me ask you this. I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but when things happened in 2008, you were quite the rising star in Jefferson Parish politics. Could the council or could the Jefferson Parish School Board possibly be a springboard into something bigger? I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but a lot of other people have used that position on the school board in Jefferson Parish to head to the council, head back to the state legislature. Big picture here, is this something that you could have your eye on, or are you focused on the school board right now?
I'm focused to do a great job, and if I'm doing a good job and the people like me, I hope to be able to do more in any capacity I have. As people don't know, 3 years ago I ran for council. I lost by 70 votes out of 21,000. I really thought that was the time. But God said, no, the red beans aren't right yet. They got to stay on the pot. So hopefully if I do a good job, then maybe, sometime in the future, we'll look at either that race or something else in the future.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Let's get back to the school system here. We all know what happened in Uvalde, Texas earlier this year, a tragic situation. There have been incidents in the recent past at high schools here, including at Higgins, where there's been fights on campus, but those things can escalate. I know it's something that you want to really focus on. You touched on it when we started this segment, but what kind of changes do you want to implement, and how do you ensure to parents watching this that when their kids go to school, they're going to be safe?
Most people know me. I've spent 21 years in the military, the Army, Navy, and Marines. I'm serious about discipline. We cannot have a safe environment where your children can learn writing, reading, and arithmetic if they can't feel safe. They need to feel safe. The teachers need to feel safe. The administrators need to feel safe. I don't believe having more guns in the school is the answer and the solution, but I do believe in having protection around it. So yes, I want to make sure that there's a student resource officer at every school in Jefferson Parish, no matter the level. I want to make sure that the principal is trained or the police officers there are trained, and we have a good perimeter around there. I want teachers to go to school and understand that at least we on the board have your back. We can't prevent someone from doing something crazy, but we can stop them at the gate. We don't need to make Jefferson Parish or New Orleans metropolitan area another Uvalde.
Let me put you on the spot right here. It's a controversial topic. There's legislation actually that's about to hit their legislature in Mississippi right now about letting teachers have the ability to possibly go through training to carry a weapon or bring a gun into school for safety purposes. What are your thoughts on that topic? Because I know when Uvalde popped up, it was a big talker here about possibly letting teachers or faculty bring guns as a way to possibly defend students.
I think it's a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. To have more guns in a volatile situation creates an environment where, I don't know if it's a false alarm, I don't know if it's the proper training or anything like that, but a teacher having a weapon would not have stopped it. A properly trained police force would have stopped it. As Jefferson Parish, as many of you know, we have one of the best sheriff's departments ever. Even in the NOPD, I'm proud of their record of making sure to come to the aid. I want children and teachers to focus on education. If they have to focus on the safety aspect of it, then we fail. Society has failed. The police department has failed. I don't want to create more guns. I want to have focus on public safety from the public safety officers and education from the educators.
All right. Derek Shepherd, we could talk all day
Yes.
about education. Unfortunately, we are out of time. A lot of new school board members, including Chris Fortunato, a former TV anchor here. A lot
My
of
friend, my friend.
Right, our friend here. A lot of changes coming when it comes to the Jefferson Parish School Board. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you sharing this story with us because you are a unique Jefferson Parish political story.
I want to thank you. Thank you for having me. And I do want to just thank so many people for this day and this possible, but I also want to thank you, man. You have always been an open door policy for everybody.
Right.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shepherd. I appreciate it. That's all the time that we have for the hot seat. He's Derek Shepherd. I'm Travers Mackel. You can see this entire segment starting Monday morning on our website, WDSU.com.